Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cameron Say again. This is video 3 of Python. In the first 2 lessons, we learned some basics about Python operations, Python syntax, and we learned some arithmetic operators. And this is going to be a very brief lesson, but I think it's going to be fairly comprehensive in terms of allowing you to tie the previous concepts together. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cost out a meal, and you're using various arithmetic operations to solve this problem of calculating the tax and tip for a meal. So we see the cost of the meal is $44.50. The restaurant tax is 6.75% of the cost of the meal. The tip is 15% of the cost of the meal, which is low. I always tip 20%, but we'll use their figures. So here we go. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah, okay. Many times I get to the end of a lesson, I say, well, I didn't turn the microphone on or something. So I'm trying to avoid that in the interest of time. So it says, first, let's declare a variable 4450. And one of the things that I'm going to beg your indulgence, I may skip around a little bit because while this interface is really easy to use, what I'm having to do is I'm doing the lessons, I'm doing all the operations beforehand, and then I have to go back, and because it keeps track of what you've done, I've got to be cognizant of how to navigate the tool so that I don't repeat anything or I don't skip anything. So it may take me a few iterations to get that piece right. So I've already assigned the value 44.50, which is the cost of the meal. So let's go to the next one. We've done that. So the meal is, we see here, we still have the meal $44.50. Now the tax is 0.0675, which is 6.75%. That's pretty straightforward. So that's our variable tax. The tip is, and you see here, the way Python represents this is 6.75 divided by 100. And then the tip is 15 divided by 100, which is 15%. So we've done that. Let's go to the next one. So we've got the 3 variables, meal, tax, and tip. And on line 7, we are to assign a value of, let me make sure I have stuff on the right line. Value of the meal. And so here it just wants us to calculate the meal plus the tax. So, and you see now, one of the things it points out is that you can reassign the value to a variable by itself times, or by itself times, plus, or minus a value to give a new value for that variable. So in this case, meal equals meal plus meal times the tax. And it says we're only calculating the cost of the meal and tax. We'll get to the tip shortly. So that's done. I hope you can see how that's done. And you can pause these if I'm going too fast. You can pause these so you can look at the screen and see what's going on. Now it says assign the value total to this, the total of the meal plus the meal times the tip. And make sure I have it on the right line. On line 8, once we do it on line 8, I did it on line 7. Let me see if that makes a difference. Well, we can just delete this line just so we're doing what they want us to do. Okay. And here's from the previous exercise where we just did the meal plus the meal time, the tax. Now we have the total equals the meal plus the meal times the tip. Now that gives us our total because the previous value included the cost of the meal and the tax. This one has the total of the meal and the tip, right? So we're done, right? We're done. And let's run this and make sure that our calculation is correct. And the percent sign in parentheses, and print is a method, right? Print is a method that takes an operator, an argument. So in this case, the argument is and that value here, down here in the double quotes is just formatting. So it says just give us, take it out 2 digits beyond the decimal point, and it will round, by default, it will round off. And then total is what that is. So let's run this. And $54.63 is the total. So that's a nice little example of bringing together a lot of the things that we're doing from an arithmetic standpoint. And we'll end this lesson here and go on to the next lesson. This is lesson 3. Coming up is lesson 4.